Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Mad Capper. There's another video on Raid Shadow Legends and a lot of things. First off, thank you for bearing with me while I was sick with the COVID. Yesterday was kind of the first day I started feeling better. The first week was tragic. I did not feel good, but we got better kind of through the week, and then we got to that point where I just felt sick. And then yesterday and today I feel a little congested. But we got the Buckley's lozenges and we got the Buckley's cough syrup. So just kind of getting rid of that congestion and that the last hurrah, and hopefully we get through this. Well, I'm testing negative now, so that's good. And tomorrow I head to the family for Christmas. So that is the next thing to let you know, is to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I will not be doing videos again until about the 27th, 28th. I'll be out of town. I might try to do something on just a phone. Who knows? For Christmas. I know I'm actually very close to Pity. So though I never do shard pull videos, I've done 3 in my entire channel's life. I might do one for Christmas and just pull some void shards and record it on here just to give you guys a little fun. We'll see. But for those of you who don't celebrate Christmas, I hope you take this opportunity to connect with family and friends and reflect upon the year that was and the year that is to be. And I hope that if 2023 brings you anything, it brings you joy, happiness, and of course, kindness and well-being. Now on to the reason for the video. We are at 100 videos in our I Built Them So You Don't Have To series. Mostly champions, although we did a couple of best ofs in and amongst the years. But I thought, similar to what we did at the 50 mark, let's do 3 videos. So we're going to do 3 videos for the I Built Them So You Don't Have To. We're going to do the top 5 best, most surprising, and worst champions, 100 strong, probably 94 videos in total of actual champions, and we're going to decide and let you know. I'm going to let you know what I found was the best, worst, and most surprising champions of the list. And with that said, let's just jump into this first list. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mention the 5 champions, and I'll actually put up a link to each of the 5 videos that I refer to, and we'll talk about the champions here. It's not going to be anything special. I'm not going to redo any sort of video for it, so if you're looking for that, I apologize. But this is a good opportunity to just do a nice video and talk about those champions and talk about the century mark of I Built Them series, which has been amazing and been great, and I love the support you've been given. So let's do this in no particular order. By the way, I also want to give a shout out, an honorable mention to Phoenix, which I do all the time. Phoenix is a champion that kind of started off the series. It didn't officially start it off. I had done videos before that, but it was the one that really got the attention of this series. And so, though he is no longer in my top 5 best, I still acknowledge him to be one of the greats. So, thank you, Phoenix. I know everyone always complains about how I say Phoenix. I think it's just a fancy way to do Phoenix. It's like people that have. I had a friend who was Kevin, but it was Kavin. That's not how you spell Kevin, but we still called him Kevin. So I'm just gonna call him Phoenix, even though his parents decided to add weird letters into it. So that said, number 5 on the list is one of the redone champions, a champion that was revisited, fixed, and now is one of the best healers in the game, and that is Woad Painted. I put her as number 5 of the epic champions that I have done videos on, and the reason is her ability to heal your team now is at a level that you will not find from any other champion. Now, it's a little bit of a caveat because it is like a splash heal, which is an interesting hit, and it removes all debuffs from this champion, 1 random debuff from all allies, then heals this champion by 100% of their max HP, and heals all allies equal to 50% of the surplus heal. And what that does, it also places a reflect damage on all allies for 2 turns and grants an extra turn. So it's a 4-turn cooldown, but it's got an extra turn added to it. It's going to remove all 1 random debuff from all allies, all debuffs from this champion, puts her reflect damage up. I know reflect damage isn't the greatest out there, but there are many uses for buffs other than just strictly the buff itself. For example, seer comps, that sort of thing. Reflect damage also useful on Fire Knight to help with those shields if you're not quite at the point where you can keep that open, those sort of things. So very good. But the most important thing is you get an extra turn, which means she can then come around here and she can block an active skills on a champion, or use a block active here to block a champion. And those are just added bonuses, but let's not kid ourselves. It's all about this essentially a 3-turn cooldown on the Undying Fury, which is such a monstrous heal on a champion that has, let's just call it 20,000 HP. You can get her over 100,000 HP. I think I had mine at 120,000, which meant if she was fully healed already, then she would be healing for 120,000 on herself, which meant 60,000 to each of her allies, which if you're in, for example, Hydra, that is what we like to call in the business ridiculous amounts of heals. So a big shout out to Woad Painted. And though I have yet to really play and see if we can use her in a place like the Sand Devil, I think at lower levels at least, this is a very strong champion to be able to heal your team as significantly as she is able to. So number 5 on the list is the newly revamped Woad Painted. Number 4 on the list, and I think the reason he isn't higher is simply because I think it's pretty well known by now how good he is. But I did the video on my free-to-play account, and that is Magnar. Magnar's AoE here is absolutely devastating. It's a champion I still use in Arena to counter. He's based on HP. And the fact that he is an HP nuker and one of the very few hard-hitting HP nukers among epics, or even among any champion in the game, is what makes him so special. I call him my Leorius Express. The reason is Leo, everyone loves to have Leo in their 3v3s and in their classic arena. And the disadvantage is, even when you lock him out with a Yumiko or a Warlord, he can still counterattack you based on masteries, right? Like losing that much, or based on the gears, the accessory sets you can get out of the clan shop. And because of that, if you have some of your more fragile nukers, he can just A1 and kill those nukers, but not Magnar. Magnar sitting at about 100k HP in Savage gear, hitting as hard can be, can kill a team and deal with that pesky Leorius and be able to take that incoming damage. And it is a rare treat when you have a champion that can do the level of damage that Magnar can do and still survive the onslaught of counterattacks. And not just, hey, Skull Crown's still out there. And at all levels, my free-to-play account uses Magnar as the nuker. My main account uses him as a specific counter to Force Affinity champions, of course. There's a lot of Force Affinity champions making their way. It's not just Candor Fun anymore. There's champions like Uko out there. Anytime you have a counter to a Force Affinity because of that Spirit Affinity with all that HP and that ability to do really good damage at a good speed too. Number 4, Magnar. Let's not forget that he does have some other stuff that people tend to forget, because he is kind of just a really good nuker, but he also heals for 1% of their max HP anytime anyone in the battle takes damage from HP burn. Which can be a significant amount, right? If everyone's taking HP burn. He does a debuff spread with random debuffs and places them all enemies under HP burn. So that's actually a very lesser known and lesser utilized ability. But if you're using HP burn in Hydra, for example, this can be a very strong ability. You can also use this using an HP burn if you needed for some reason in spiders to also put something else on them, like a decrease accuracy, for example. You can do stuff like that. So there's a lot of cool little uses with this that I think a lot of people don't think about. And he does have a decreased defense if you actually do this. And it has a 100% chance if they're under an HP burn, so you can get that decreased defense out. And on top of it, he does have an increases ally defense in Doom Tower. I don't know why it's ally defense. It should be HP, but whatever. Far be it from Plarium to match auras with the actual champion kit. But overall, very strong champion coming in at number 4. Number 3 is another favorite of mine, and she only just got better. She got buffed even though I didn't think she needed a buff, and that is Alika. Alika is one of the hardest hitting champions in the game. She's got 3 separate skills, all hitting at glorious amounts of damage. The first one is this attacks all enemies and has a 100% book chance of increasing the cooldowns of all enemy skills by 2 turns. Now that was a very significant change that happened very recently, and now that it is by 2 turns, it means that even though they lose that 1 turn of that cooldown, it essentially does lock them out for 1 turn, similar to how Basher does. So Alika is exactly the same as Basher, not Void Affinity, but what she can do that Basher can't is kill people. Not only does this hit very strong, but her absolute nuking ability is this A2. It ignores 50% of the target's defense if their max HP is higher than this champion's, which most are because, of course, she's only got 15,008 base. And on top of this, she also has that Sakura that actually revives her with 75% HP when she's killed, and Sakura is on the team. But if that weren't enough, if this nuking, this 2-turn cooldown, single target, absolutely devastating ability. On top of that, she has this booked 50% chance of placing an extra hit. Now, you guys know how absolutely bonkers it drives me when you get this always critical hit when you're going to build her out to be always critical no matter what. Now, what would be cooler is if this ability, if they took all these always critical hits when it's only on one ability and changed it to cannot weak hit. That would be amazing. That would be here. Plarium, free of charge, Merry Christmas. Unlike you, I'm giving you a gift that requires you to do nothing but actually implement it. Anytime you have this always critical on a champion where all 3 skills aren't always critical, and like Errol, when all 3 are critical, that's good, but when there's only one that's all critical, change it to can't weak hit. That would be amazing, because I'm already going to have her critical. But nonetheless, this thing hits really hard. But if it gets that second hit, it actually is the hardest hitting that I have tested among epics in the game for A1s. Phoenix is the only other one that comes close, and he gets it if there's debuffs. He gets a second hit, and he has the block revive. But hers actually hits a little bit harder than his overall. Her multipliers are obscene. She hits like a Mack truck and comes in at number 3 on my list. Number 2 on my list, I mean, I won't stop talking about her. You probably already guessed who she is. Number 2 on the list is Knight's Revenant's Whisper. Whisper has been around for a very long time now. She was first introduced with the original Amazon Prime drops for this game, and she is an absolute boss killer. The revival of Whisper in the dungeons 21 through 25. This is a champion who does next level damage with the cap of 10% damage ability to be done on bosses of the higher level bosses where they cap that enemy max HP. This champion reigns supreme. She can hit harder than those champions. She absolutely hits hard in Hydra. She absolutely hits hard in dungeons such as the Dragon and Fire Knight if you need it. And she comes with her own host of buffs, which just to allow you to make her as absolutely terrifyingly nuking as you want her to be. I've also used her with a high resistance as the Head of Mischief target. The only downside to that is because she gets extra turns, she can run through those, which can make it a bit tricky, but nonetheless, Whisper's pure damage output versus bosses because of this extra 10% chance of granting a hit and increases damage inflicted on bosses by 20% makes her so strong. And the fact that you are buffing your own with her A2 crit rate so that you can build her out to 70% crit rate just makes her a next level damage nuker. She is a little bit squishy, so you do have to worry about that, but if you can build her out for your team, she's going to do absolute ridiculous amounts of damage, especially in those lower level Hydras. I like bringing her in against the brutal Hydra boss, or even the hard Hydra boss, because just the amount of damage she can do means that I only have to take 30-40 turns on the hard boss to finish it out if I'm doing Nightmare, Brutal, and Hard. And yeah, she's just a top tier nuker that I think people still sleep on. Even when you show them, they still don't believe it. They still think they know better. But trust me, coming at number 2, an absolute destroyer of worlds in Whisper. And number 1, I hummed and hawed, and I think the last time I did this video, I did it the other way. But there is something special about this champion, and that is Urdakata, and it's so unassuming. But once you bring her in, Urdakata, and I really wish I had a Bellinor or some other champion that I could really test out her pairing is better. But this champion still holds the record for the most damage I have done from a single champion. Keeping in mind I don't have Turvold, but also keeping in mind Turvold's a legendary Void champion. Urdakata's damage here, I actually put her in my clan boss because I wanted Shigur out of my clan boss, although I might put him back in now that I have the a different team for the Sand Devil. Her ability is really amazing. So she attacks 4 times at random, but who cares? Each hit has a 50% chance of placing a Hex debuff, 3-turn cooldown. When you're up against the clan boss, that means 4 times to put the Hex on the clan boss. It's gonna land, and then she's got this passive. Whenever this champion or an ally lands a critical hit on an enemy under Hex debuff, has a 10% chance of placing a 5% poison debuff on the enemy for 1 turn. This basically means that you are putting poisons ad nauseum on the champions. You add that chance to extend the buffs by 1 turn, and it just becomes so strong. But on top of that, she has an attacks 1 enemy 3 times, so that's 3 possible crits. And each hit has a 50% chance when booked of placing a poison sensitivity debuff for 2 turns, meaning each of those poisons is now going to do more damage. And then on top of that, she has attacks 1 enemy 2 times, has a 50% chance when booked of increasing the duration of 2 poison debuffs by 1 turn. So she can increase, plus she's going to be critting on that, which means she's going to land more poisons. It's just a snowballing effect, and she's the one champion in the Myth Fu that I was able to get 50 million damage out of. She is the first and only one I've ever had breach 50 million out of 1 champion. That's stronger than Chigur's damage. That's stronger than my damage with Draco. It's just insane the level of damage this champion can do. With honestly, you can build her out for nuking, and I do, and she nukes very heavy. But even if you can't build her out for nuking, just the fact that all your other nukers are going to add poisons to the boss, it's crazy. It absolutely snowballs. She's also very good in Dragon for the same reason as poisons are very strong in the Dragon. Though I have not used her in it, I'm sure the Ice Golem would do just as well. Though, again, that low HP, makes her a little bit squishy, a little bit more. You'd have to build her more survivable, but nonetheless, Urdakata, one of the great finds of 2022, in my opinion, and my #1 champion. Maybe she's not the best champion, period. But I just the fact that nobody was looking at her, no one realized exactly what she could do, and to be able to do the amount of damage she can is something special, which deserves a #1 calling on the list. So there it is, my top 5 best champions reviewed under the I Built Them So You Don't Have To. What are your favorite epics? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you all. Stay tuned. Maybe Christmas Day, like I said, I'll drop a very rare Shard Pearl video for Voids because I am at Pity. So we should be able to maybe get that the Nutcracker, Gorgid or whatever his name is. Maybe we'll get another one. I'm hoping for a Krizia, but whatever happens, happens. Other than that, I will be back on or about the 27th, 28th, and we will continue with the most surprising champions of the I Built Them series. But until then, as always, please be safe, be kind. Season's greetings, Happy Hanukkah, Merry Kwanzaa, Merry Christmas, Feliz Navidad, and all the other stuff. And hey, just have a wonderful end to 2022 and start to 2023. Thank you all, and we'll see you in the next video.